Hey gun people! It's a little windy. The wind's coming from the south instead of the north, so normally it's coming this way from the north. So I'm behind the barn here, and the horses were hiding behind the barn and they saw me. So let me do this video on this cop that got shot by another cop. I can hear the other cops right now. Why are you laughing? That's not funny. Hey, it happened. What do you want me to do? Sit around and cry about it? You want to go in there and sit down and just cry and, you know, beep with whatever? Look, the dude got shot in the gut by another cop. So, these two cops, this cop pulls this guy over, and then he shot over, they said that he stopped him for suspicious movement in the car. When they were driving, they saw suspicious movement. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, what's suspicious movement? Well, I mean, it sounds kind of broad, but if I'm following somebody and they're making movements, which we call suspicious or furtive, or they're trying to hide or they're trying to reach. If a guy's drinking a beer and he sees a cop and you see him and it's all of a sudden, oh shit, and he starts shiving, that's kind of suspicious movement. He's hiding evidence, could be destroying evidence, could be reaching for a gun, could be hiding his dope. If 2 or 3 people do that and start jumping around a vehicle, is that suspicion that a crime is occurring, is about to occur, or has occurred? It can be. So the cop made a stop and he stopped him for suspicious movement in a vehicle. So as he's talking to the guy, evidently they run and they find out one of the guys has an arrest warrant. So another unit shows up. Well, they get the guy out to do the arrest warrant. They start fighting. The suspect gets one of the guy's flashlights and he hits the officer in the head. Now, remember, deadly force. That action, which is likely to cause seriously bodily injury and or death, blows to the head from a metal flashlight, is considered deadly force because it can cause serious bodily injury. It can knock you unconscious, it can do mayhem, it can knock your eye out, it can hit you in the temple. I mean, it could kill you, it probably wouldn't, but you could get some serious concussion or some serious injuries from getting hit in the head with a metal object such as a flashlight with batteries. Same way with a club or a stick or a hoe or a hammer. I mean, when you start hitting or kicking somebody in the head, you get to a deadly force pretty rapidly. So, the guy's hitting the guy with the flashlight. The other cop, the guy that shot the other cop, instead of going to his gun because deadly force was authorized, he went to less lethal force. He pulled out his taser. Now, I've said before, I'm not a big fan of taser. I didn't use it a lot. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It's great when it works, but there's so many times that it doesn't work. And in this case, when I'm getting hit in the head with a flashlight, I really don't want the time for you to figure out if a taser is going to work. I would just rather you go to deadly force and stop this guy from hitting me in the head. But I digress. This officer pulled out his taser and shot the guy. Guess what? Surprise! The taser didn't work. So now we've wasted 2 or 3 blows. Could have increased the injury to the officer, could have killed the officer by now. So we tried a taser to appease the left-wing liberals that we don't want to hurt anybody unless we have to. So we appease them and maybe the officer's death. Now the cop says, okay, taser didn't work, let me abandon that, now I'm going to go to gun. Fires 3 rounds. Now he hits a suspect, and I don't know how he hit the cop, but he hit the cop in the gut. Now, was it a ricochet? Did the bullet hit him in the gut? They're not saying all that. They're just saying the cop's in the hospital because he got shot in the gut by the other cop. And the suspect was shot. So, I mean, and the lesson to learn here, if there is a lesson, is when you see cops, and I've said this before, if you see cops on a traffic stop, my horse is kind of bailed out of here. If you see guys on a traffic stop and they start pulling guns, that's a clue that if rounds are fired, you are a possible target to stray bullets, 2 bullets from the cop, 2 bullets from the suspect, if there's multiple suspects or if there's multiple cops. Okay, I never liked when a whole bunch of cops had their guns out unless I was behind or equal with them. Because if I got 5 guys, the last place I want to be is anywhere downrange. Okay? I'm not saying cops are incompetent or they'll shoot me on purpose, but to be honest, I don't care if I get shot by accident or on purpose or by a ricochet. I don't care. I just don't like to be downrange of bullets flying unless I'm able to return fire bullets at the people shooting at me. So, and this just goes back to, you know, working with somebody. If you're doing tactics, if you're working in a militia, if you're working in a National Guard, if you're doing any type of training with a group of guys, not only do you have to be aware of your field of fire, where your gun is going, but you need to be aware of others' field of fire, where they're going. You know, if you do a flanking maneuver to where these guys are shooting straight, and then you have another group, a team come over here, and they come here, and they're shooting this way, you get a nice crossfire for the kill zone. But the problem with that is if you're not aware exactly where these guys are at, and you start shooting this way, you're shooting your guys, or if they flank, and instead of shooting this way, they end up coming back and shooting you, it's a very tricky maneuver. So friendly fire is one of those things that you always deal with. I was just watching and I heard a police officer shot another officer in the belly while trying to make an arrest. I went, what the? So, and I think it happened in Texas because of all the local news. So anyway, things to consider, things to always think about. I mean, I was always aware on who I was with, if I was incompetent, if I was in mandatory quota hires, who was around me, who had guns, whether they, you know, if I worked with them and I trained with them, were they tactically sound? You know, if I was doing an op order, the people on the outside, I would make sure the guys that were less tactically sound were on the outside of the building, and I would make the tactical guys in the Congo line. If you're doing an ops order, you go, okay, you're going to be number 1, I'm going to be 2, you're going to be 3. So you get them lined up in your ops plan. I would always make sure the less tactical were on the outside. And then, of course, the women would complain, we don't get to, he doesn't put us entering because we're women. I don't want you in here because I don't want your dumb ass shooting me, because at the range you can't hit a target anyway. I know, it's mean and I should be more open, whatever. Where'd my horses go? My damn horse is like, we're out of here, dude. All right, we'll end that there.